I was searching for the books I read this month, and I kind of realised that I actually read more physical books than I did Kindle books, which was pretty interesting. Hello Book Warriors, this is Joe Reese Books, and my name is Joe, and today is my April wrap up as well as my May TBR. And in April I read all the books I wanted to read, and I'm absolutely delighted at this because that means I'm out of my bit of book slump that I was in, and I was able to read all the books. Yay! So the first book I read this month was The Gifted Uprising, which is book 2 by Elizabeth C. Bauer, and this is in the Gifted series, and The Gifted is a really good book, and this was a really good book. There was a massive plot twist in this book. I did not see it coming, and there was an attitude of a character that changed from the first book in this book as well, which was pretty interesting to see, and I couldn't believe it. And just on that plot twist and that character change of attitude, I had to give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I also will be doing a review on this book soon. I still have to record it and find time to do it as well because my house isn't usually this quiet. The second book I read this month was The Dead Cure by James Dashner, and this is the third and final book in the Maze Runner trilogy. Now I do know that there is a prequel which I am hoping to get to soon at some point as well, but I'm no man panic. But again, I love this book as much as I love the first two in the series. Again, in this series, the second book takes the middle book syndrome in plot and characters, but this one really kind of brought me back into the love I had for the first one. I loved how it ended, where it ended up ending, and I was a bit disappointed in what happened to a character, but I already knew something was going to happen to this character, mainly because I was spoiled by one of my friends who read the book before me, but I still really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the films when they do come out. I've yet still to watch the Maze Runner movie, so if you think I should watch it or leave it after reading the books, comment below. The third book I read this month was I Hate Myself by Shane Dawson, and I laughed out loud at parts of this book. And there's a lot of parts in this book that I actually really relate to, coming from a similar background as Shane when coming to school, and certain things that he has experienced I also experienced. It kind of helps that we are in around the one age as well, and we both kind of come onto the YouTube scene and social media in around the same time as each other, rather than like now where people are coming on social media at like 10 years of age. We were a little bit older and a little bit more wiser when it comes to the internet, but it's a really, really good read. I really, really enjoyed it. It was funny, and I really would like to hear what the audiobook sounds like this. I think it would actually probably be a little bit better with an audio, kind of getting Shane's humour and sarcasticness that he has coming in this book as well. And it was just a really, really good read, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I give it 5 stars. The last book I read this month, and probably the quickest book I read this month, was Half Bad by Sally Green. I started this book before I went on my holidays when I only read about 100 pages. And when I come back on Monday, I absolutely devoured this book, and I loved it so much. Unfortunately, I said I wasn't able to give this book 5 stars is because of some things in the writing I just didn't like. I also noticed 1 or 2 spelling mistakes, which is very strange for me, considering I am dyslexic, and to spot spelling mistakes is generally not something I would do. However, it could have been just the way I was reading this book, and I just didn't make sense of maybe the sentence in the book, and I thought it was spelled wrong, the words. Maybe not, and it could just be me. But I also gave this 4 stars due to the fact that I didn't like how it ended. It didn't really leave you on a cliffhanger. It didn't really want to read onto the second book either. It kind of just ends kind of bluntly. But however, I really did enjoy it, and I do have the second book, so I will be reading the second book soon, but I won't be jumping into straight away. And that's all the books I read this month. I read my 4 books I hope to read, and I actually managed to do it, and I'm pretty delighted. I know BookTube, most people read 6, 7, 8 books in a month. Unfortunately, I'm not that much of a fast reader, so I don't read that many books in a month, and I don't set that many books ahead of schedule either. Okay, let's move on into my May TBR. So far this month, I have set aside 3 books to read this month. All 3 of these books are on the Kindle. And the first book I'm reading is Bound by Duty by Stormy Smith, and currently I'm about 57% into this book, so that should be finished fairly soon as well. So I'm enjoying this book so far. It's a paranormal romance, and oddly enough, the romance is actually working in this book. There are some things I don't like about the whole romance situation in this book, where we see our main character kind of relying very much on the male characters around her rather than standing on her own 2 feet some of the time. But I'm hoping this will eventually fade away with the bit of character development that is coming along nicely in the book. The second book I'm reading this month is from NetGalley, and this is a proof copy I received, and this is Witch Hunter by Victoria Bacher. I can't pronounce the name, but I will have an image of it here somewhere so that you can actually see. So the main synopsis of the book is, and I'm going to read out the paragraph I have here. When Elizabeth is accused of being a witch herself, she is arrested and thrown into prison. The king declares her a traitor and her life is all but forfeit. Just hours before she is to die at the stake, Elizabeth gets a visitor. Nicholas Prevail, the most powerful wizard in Angela. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He offers her a deal. He will free her from prison and save her from execution if she will track down the wizard who laid a deadly curse on him. Now, this book does sound really, really interesting, and when I actually write the synopsis to this book, there is a bit more of a synopsis. When I read this, I said straight away I had to read this book. I wanted to get this book, and to be offered the chance to actually review this book, I had to jump at it, and I'm reading it at the moment, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The next book I have set aside for this month is another book I received from NetGalley to review, and that is The Fire Children by Lauren Rye. And this book, again, is a teen YA fantasy sci-fi book. And again, this book just screamed to me that it was something that I really, really liked. And the synopsis of this book is: 2 children escape the darkness of the underground dwellings to find venture, magic, and terrible danger await anyone who ventures above ground. 15 years have passed since Mother Sun has sent her children to walk the world. With the eclipse coming, the people retreat to the caverns beneath the Calgrim, passing the days into total darkness, while the fire children explore their world. It's dead to even look upon them, the stories say. Now, that's just a brief synopsis of this book, and it was one of these books that actually just screamed at me and made me want to read it. And then when I applied to review this book, they gave me the option they actually allowed me to review it, which I'm very, very excited about. And again, this is the book I'm also hoping to have up reviewed by the end of the month on my blog, as well as on my channel, as well as the other book from NetGalley, which I hope to have a video as well. Now, I also have all my reviews on my blog, which I set up in the last while, so I will link that below, as well as a link to my Twitter and my Instagram, as well as my Tumblr, if anybody is interested in checking those out. And if you are, hit the follow, let me know. And of course, as always, if you have any books you think I should check out, comment below. Also, I have also uploaded my book haul for this month, so also comment below what you thought of that and what books you think I should pick up next. Okay everyone, so that is my April wrap up as well as my May TBR for the moment, and I will see you all in the next chapter.